with Climate Smart. How do we prevent conservation and efficiency gains from being shifted and wasted elsewhere? Jerome's paradox illuminates that creating efficiencies will actually result in expanded resource use. If we continue relying on market mechanisms, would demand reduction cause lower energy pricing, which in turn is an incentive for consumers to use and waste more? Good luck.
Yeah. Is this on? Okay. I really don't think I can answer that question. But there is a documented effect when it comes to increasing efficiency. There is the rebound effect that's real and is a challenge for sure. And I don't have any great insights into how to prevent that from happening. I think the best, that we can do, and certainly something we try to do at Climate Smart, is incorporate education along with everything that we do. And when people know what their energy mix is, where their energy comes from, what the real impact of using less of it is, I think that can be a very powerful thing. I think that sometimes there are tools that can be useful for folks. Some utilities have really great software options or online platforms that make it easy for customers to see how much energy they've used, 1 month compared to the same month the previous year. And that information is technically available to us through Northwestern, for those of us who are Northwestern customers, but it's not the most user-friendly. So there are ways for that data to be better tracked, for people to be able to see whether that rebound effect is actually happening. So I think those are some important options. But yeah, that's a real challenge.
Thank you. Carl, a couple quickies for you. Tesla power walls, what are they? Batteries, okay. How many other pump storage projects are in the works in the Northwest, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, California?
Well, there are 40 pump storage facilities in the United States right now. Most of them have that old equipment that I talked about, and they were put in the ground 35, 40 years ago and paired often with nuclear and big coal, right? If you're going to spend the money for a nuclear plant, you didn't want the energy to be wasted at night. You wanted to do something with them. The utilities that have those pump storage facilities, even though the equipment's crude, love them because they can move power back and forth and time shift energy and, do all the things that we're talking about here. This equipment we're putting in Gordon Butte's kind of a Ferrari in comparison, but we wanted to put that very fast-acting stuff in the ground. In the Northwest, to get to the question, there are about 5 new pump storage facilities being proposed. That's California, Oregon, Washington, and Montana. The industry thinks that Gordon Butte's going to be the first one that goes in the ground, so we're going to lead, and I really, really want to lead.
Thank you. Whoever wants this one. It doesn't seem like our politicians are proactive in the use of renewable energy. Are they sponsored by the fossil fuel industry? Is this why? Anybody?
No, it's not why. I mean, I don't think that's true. I think that they're ideologues, and they're looking out at money, and they're saying, how do we, all of this stuff is just expensive. They're using old data. They've been hearing this forever, and they don't want to pay for things. But when it comes to solar and net metering, now maybe not all of our legislators are so good, but I'll tell you, conservatives like solar because it's energy independence, it's freedom from the grid, it's all those things that they advocate, and now it's cost effective. So we just need to talk to them, I'm convinced, in terms that they can relate to and not in terms that are motivating us.
Thank you. Abby, I've often wondered how one decides when to get a new energy-efficient appliance and when it is better to use the old one until it falls apart, as it does use energy to make new appliances.
That's a great question. And the general rule is that use that appliance until it falls apart. That's the best way of efficiently using the embodied energy in that appliance. There are exceptions to that rule, and it just kind of depends on how those things pencil out. An example might be a hybrid heat pump water heater that is less than, or like, sorry, more than 200%, like double the efficiency of an existing water heater. That's just kind of pulled out of the thin air, but it does depend on your payback and the system and how much that appliance gets used, but the general rule is use it till it's dead and then get a really good one, Energy Saver.
Thank
Energy
you.
Star.
Carl, Japan and Germany have grid-scale ultracapacitors with barium titanate. What can you tell us about progress and costs? Please talk about load-shedding devices.
I don't know anything about barium shedding capacitors. I wish I could help. Sorry.
Okay.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, we've got more for you later. Don't worry. And not to anyone in particular, but let's see if anybody has a response. It feels like pursuing renewable technologies is a strategy akin to a dog chasing its own tail. Considering capitalism's uncanny ability to crank out new electricity-dependent goods and services, which are easily capable of outstripping the buildup of renewable energy capacity, what critique is valid which does not include a plan to end our dependence on market logic and a radical global contradiction? A contraction. Good audience here.
So I hope I'm answering this question, but I want to say this about what I'm doing specifically to try to cross the bridge with Northwestern, right? I'm talking about cost. Because that, she's right, that is the thing that's going to move the needle. So I'm focusing on cost. I'm focusing on competing on cost. I don't want to build a gas plant. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm proud of what I'm trying to do. But in order to win, I have to compete against gas, and damn it, I'm going to compete and I'm going to win on price. And then the rest of it, and right? It's just a capitalistic, I want to build a big project, and I want to do that instead of letting them build gas. But I'm working, if you read our comments, Absaroka's comments to the resource plan, talking about the difference between the capacity they want to build with gas and the pump storage, it doesn't talk about climate change or carbon risk. It's all about my tool's better and my tool is cheaper.
Before you give that up, Carl, what's the environmental impact of building this battery or your tool? Environmental costs of materials?
Well, we're taking that, that grassland and putting water, putting a swimming pool in it. That's an impact. We have to pull 4,000 acre-feet of water for the initial fill and 500 acre-feet each year to deal with the evaporative losses. We agreed to do that during the spring runoff, so we're not competing with irrigators, and that kept everybody downstream of us calm and happy. But that's an impact. We're pulling water out of that stream. But that's really it. And if you go look at our 4,000-page license application, about 2,000 of that is a wealth of environmental studies and analyses on this facility and what it's going to do and what its impact will be. But basically, it's pretty low for the 1,000-pound gorilla that we're building to put into the grid.
Thanks. For Ann, does talking in the language of the market, asking for market-friendly changes, only serve to further embed capitalist logic and ensure that fights for just and equitable resource extraction and distribution will carry into the future for our grandchildren?
I want to win. And the way you win right now, talking to the people who are making the decisions, is you talk in their language. We know why we're doing this. We can talk to our fellow people, our allies, our compatriots, and we work with an awful lot of people. We can talk in our language. But if I go up to the legislature, or how about this one? Here's an example. We argued last year that Northwestern Energy should not get reimbursed for the outage at Colstrip. So Colstrip broke down. It was broken for 6 months. And Northwestern Energy not only wanted to charge consumers as if the plant were operating, it also wanted to charge us for the replacement power that it had to buy. It wanted to double charge consumers. Now, I don't like Colstrip. I think Colstrip is a bad actor. I think it's the third highest carbon polluter in the nation. And so, what did I want? I wanted our commission to make sure that Northwestern felt some pain for having a plant that broke, that it's a polluting plant, it's a dirty plant, it's an old plant, and we shouldn't have to pay when that plant breaks down. They should have to bear some of that risk. If I had gone to the Public Service Commission and told them why I don't like the Colstrip plant, it wouldn't have worked. But instead, the commission sided with us. And they told Northwestern that they didn't get to recover all of their costs for Colstrip. And you know what that does to a utility when they start having a resource that's breaking down and they're not going to get money out of? Guess what? It starts shifting their thinking. So when I go out and I talk to, people that I know are in the same vein, I'll talk about climate change. But if I want to talk to people who have a decision facing them today, and that decision is going to affect climate change, but I can win without talking about it, and I will lose if I do talk about it, you know what I'm going to do?
I bet this might be for Abby. Why do we want cheap energy? Won't we use more externalities? How do you incentivize energy retrofits on existing houses? Implement energy budgets for new buildings?
Well, there's a lot there.
These are very full questions, folks.
Well, I think there are a lot of incentives for energy efficiency. Unfortunately, we have fewer of them with Northwestern than some utilities offer. But there are still rebates. There are, you can get a free energy audit if you've never had one on your home. And they will come in and offer upgrades for free and help you prioritize what efficiency upgrades to make. So there are those resources available. There should arguably be a much larger investment in those efficiency measures, especially for low-income folks. Like as I mentioned, that's such a huge chunk of the energy budget. So there are great groups out there. The Human Resource Council here in Missoula, we just had a meeting with them today. They weatherized 215 low-income homes last year, and really are trying to make a difference for folks. So there are great programs and resources available. We need to keep using them so that we can prove that there is not enough and we need more. But they're out there, yeah.
Thanks. A couple for Carl. It seems like this audience is intrigued with some of this new technology that we're experiencing. Has Northwest Energy agreed to purchase energy powered by Upsaroka Energy? If so, how will purchase price be determined?
No.
Well, moving right along.
But
how long will it take to get pump storage at Gordon Butte? How will it be financed?
well, it'll be financed when Northwestern, Puget, Portland General comes in and either buys the project or buys the capacity so we can put the financing in place. Listen, I want to sort of riff off of something that Ann said. We've got a monopoly, all right? The monopoly does some good things for us, but it also has some baggage, right? In a monopoly and a group that's got a monopoly, they're going to take the easiest path of least resistance that they can find. That's not Gordon Butte. That's pouring a concrete pad and bolting a jet engine down and burning gas. And I don't think we should expect them to do anything else. It's in their best interest not to take any risks, not to do interesting things, right? Just to do the easy thing. I don't feel mad about that. I just acknowledge that that's what they're doing. But something that Ann said really rang true with me as I look out at all of you. The Public Service Commission is a group of politicians. And they're a group of politicians, I think I can say, that within a range are trying to make objectively good decisions about what to do. They're kind of agnostic about the things that we're interested in, maybe, but they're also movable, as we've seen that, right? They're movable by dollars and cents and sort of the cost benefit of things. So I say, when I file comments at the Public Service Commission, which I know Northwestern will read, that building a pump storage plant's more complicated. Certainly getting it developed is almost impossible, I can tell you that. But I did it, right? We did it. And there it is. And I expect before the day is done, back on that analysis, because we just create more capacity for a cheaper price, that we'll carry the day. And I'm going to stay at it until we do. And I would say that politely to anybody at Northwestern, that you got to take a look at us because we're just a better benefit for ratepayers.
Thanks. We got a few more folks, and then we may be done for tonight. And this may be for Ann or Abby. Northwestern Energy has summer peaking electric loads because of hotter summers and more air conditioners and irrigation pumps. Can high-flow, low-head hydro work in irrigation canals? This would reduce peak loads. Or maybe Carl.
Yeah, it can, and actually FERC is trying to expedite the licensing of that kind of hydro because there's a lot of slack or unused opportunity in the system that people are starting to look at, which is great. Non-powered dams, irrigation systems, all can. They're already doing the work. We just need to put the machinery in to capture the effect that's already there. So, yes.
And for whoever would like this one, it was suggested that a switch to efficient energy won't be enough at this point in time. What other precautions are you anticipating will be necessary to take perhaps a larger change?
There is no silver bullet. There's no one single thing that's going to solve the crisis that we face. It is going to be efficiency. It is going to be solar. It is going to be wind. It is going to be battery technology, whether that's pumped hydro or something else. It is going to be a panoply of ideas. It is not going to be any single thing that's going to solve the problem that we have today.
Thanks. And Carl, how much current solar, wind, and hydro excess power can your pump storage handle? How many pump storage facilities do we need to handle all our solar, wind, hydro excess energy? Do we have other good sites for pump storage?
Yes, we do. So a couple of things. One, again, let me take you back to the spinning mass issue, if I didn't mention that before. As those coal plants come down, and they will over time go away, we have to replace, wind and solar can't create the flywheel effect that's necessary and comes out of that spinning iron in the ground that keeps that big, massive line supported from a voltage and frequency perspective. So we're going to have some pump storage on that line as we take coal off in order to keep the voltage supported. So that's just going to happen. And we have another site that we've permitted, and as soon as we finish Gordon Butte, we're going to start working on that one. And I think that will be part of what happens when Colstrip 3 and 4 start to transition out of the grid, and we'll try to interconnect that one. We've done studies where we've we've backstopped several thousand megawatts of wind with the Gordon Butte facility. And I'll just give you a little example of this. We've done some internal modeling with Gordon Butte where we took the facility and biased it at night off peak to be pumping and storing energy, and then paired with 1,500 megawatts of wind to produce on peak from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. And we modeled that, selling that energy at $60 with no rec credits, no PTC, no other tax credits or any tax planning at all, just $60 all in. And we were able to pay for the wind facilities and the pump storage. Our capacity factor on peak in that scenario was 74%, which is almost getting up into coal and certainly better than gas.
It's better than Colstrip 1 and 2 right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And we did that because we wanted to show that we could produce something. Again, this is back to this dollars and cents. How does my tool work? I want to take away the issue that we can't produce a smooth, reliable, renewable product with these two paired together.